All right. So thank you so much, Pamela. I'm so honored that we're doing this together and everything. As I was saying, for me, I want to share like the journey of Reiki, how it helped us individually in our differences and to spread it. So thank you so much for taking the time. Really
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for having me.
appreciate
It's an honor for me too. It's really, really nice to be here. I'm excited.
Amazing. Okay, so let's jump in. I want you to first like share a little bit about you. What are you doing now? And then maybe adding like how did Reiki find you? How did you end up, yeah, becoming a Reiki practitioner? Yeah.
Okay. Love the question. Okay, so there's many, many branches, many different
Yeah.
tangents into the
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
nutshell. So we're recording this here. I'm coming to you from my wellness center that I started with my dear friend and business partner, Nadia. It's going to be a year in March that we have Sanctuarium Wellness Center, where we practice different energetic therapies, modalities, Reiki being one of them. So, how did Reiki come into my life? I love telling this story.
Yeah.
I was 12 when I first experienced Reiki.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was my brother. Shout out. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We were actually discussing this last night, him and I. And I asked him, I'm like, how did you? Because he's the one who really guided me into a lot of this world, the energetics, the spirituality, all of this whole world.
Yeah.
I asked him, I said, at 16 years old, how did you find Reiki? He's like, well, I knew that I was always interested in religions, started with religion. And then he's like, religion brought to spirituality, which brought to energy work. So I remember we were on vacation one day and he said, he mentioned something. He's like, I found this really cool thing that I'm like studying. He's like, do you trust me? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, so
Okay.
I'm just gonna hover my hands over you. He's like, you could close your eyes. But he didn't explain much more. So I said, okay, 12-year-old me lying down. And
Mhm.
then I like opened my eyes. I'm like, my body feels like there's electrical currents going through it. And like my leg kind of feels like there's ants in it. I'm like, is that normal? He's like, yeah, you're feeling the energy.
Wow.
Gosh. So that was my very first experience with Reiki. It was really
Amazing.
cool, right? Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then later on, a few years later, when I was 17, I had my first Reiki session
Mhm.
when I was in college, and that was amazing. And then a few years later, I studied, maybe, I don't know, the timelines are confused, but a few years, 2, 3 years later, um, maybe a few more. That's when I studied Reiki 1, 2, 3. So yeah, my Reiki,
Beautiful.
yeah, yeah, it's
And
pretty
that it's so interesting. Like I never, because with all the people that I met, like we're older when we experienced Reiki. But as
Mhm.
a 12-year-old, and
Right? Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, me too. When I think back, I'm like, that's
yeah,
it's pretty amazing. It's pretty
it is
amazing.
so amazing. Now,
Yeah.
are you and your brother, is he a practitioner too? Or is it just you?
Yes, he's done the Reiki levels, but he's not a practitioner yet.
Okay. Okay.
So he'll use it for himself, for his family, for his kids, and yeah, I know that he uses it for himself on a
Mhm.
daily, which is something that we learn. That's the first thing that you learn in Reiki level 1, right?
That's
Is
right.
that 21-day journey.
That's
It's
right.
for yourself first and
For
foremost.
yourself,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I do know like a few people who are not practitioners. They just wanted to learn it for them to heal
Ex
themselves.
yeah. Okay. So this is my second question is like how now that you're talking about it, like how in everyday life, not to be like a practitioner, blah blah, but like your view, like how can it help in just in our everyday life, normal life, busy lives? How can Reiki can help someone?
Great question, because it really does help. So I recommend when people are interested and they say, "Oh, I would want to take the course, but I would want to learn Reiki, but I don't want to be a practitioner." I encourage people to do it anyway because exactly it's good for us. So how does it help me in my daily life? Well, when I did the 21-day journey, when I did all three levels, it helped me personally to deepen my connection with my own physical body, with my own energetic body, with my intuition. So
Mm-hmm.
with all of it, with the, the third eye, the pineal gland, it just activated everything. It activated my life force, um, and made me aware of the subtleties of
Yes,
my energetics and of my body.
that's right.
So my physical body. So on a daily basis, I'd say that I'll do like a morning breath work and morning energy work, even if it's just 2 minutes of grounding
That's right.
or doing a little bit of, okay, where do I, this morning, if when I wake up, like what's going on in my body? Like I literally just put my hand on my stomach and on my heart or here, but usually on my heart, and I check in. I say, okay, what's going on? And for me, Reiki helped me get to this point. Like I've mixed it with other modalities, but Reiki helped me with that. So it helps me to kind of reset and realign every morning to prepare myself for my day ahead. So to reduce if it's a high stress day, there's a lot of things going on. Um, my energy is balanced. It's aligned so that if there's a stressor that appears, whew, that Reiki energy that I did on myself in the morning helps me to come back to center, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes
That's
sense.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I like that you said awareness because a lot of the times we are not aware. Like I mean, I feel sad, I feel depressed, but we don't have the skill, the ability to go inward and
Yes.
because it's all about awareness, like how is this rising in me or a
Yeah.
thought and
Yes.
that you know what I mean, like so how can
So,
we like transform? We can't transform if we
mm,
don't have the awareness. And I think you're right, Reiki is a beautiful tool to start practicing awareness, you know.
exactly.
Yeah.
You said it perfectly. Awareness is it's a huge key in us being in having the having being in not in control, but being empowered to take our health and our mental health, our physical health, our overall well-being into our own hands. And that
Mm.
then there's the integration, right? But that awareness, like you said, there's so many people that, and more, we have clients coming in that we make them fill out a little intake form, and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
questions like, how does that make me feel? Where do I feel it in my body? What do you mean? I'm like, what do I mean? What do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? And it's not in a
It's not.
not in a bad way, but it shocks me that we were, and
Yes,
I was there. I was there too. I am still there where I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm not aware, but we're not taught this. The point
we're
being is
not.
that we are not taught this,
You're
how to
not
be
taught.
aware of our bodies.
Absolutely. And yes, to add to like when you say like your clients, when sometimes I ask people like, well, what do you want in life? They have no idea of
Right?
what they want. Well, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? And we have the same, but what do
Yes.
you
Yeah,
and you're like,
exactly.
I'm like, well, I'm working. I have a car, I have a house, like, but it's more, right? It's more than
Right.
just that. Yeah.
So in that sense, like Reiki also that's why in the spiritual, emotional sense, it opens up, it opens up like neural pathways. Because then
Mm.
I want to throw in some science later because
Yes,
there is
yes, yes.
kind of, right? Like
Please.
it does open up certain neural pathways in our brain to open our minds and see like, oh, it's like a,
Oh,
it's, there is more to life.
yes.
There is more. I could
Mm.
want more and I could get more
Yeah,
than just the wake up, go to work, come home,
that's right.
cook dinner, go to bed, same thing. No, there's so much more,
There's
right?
so much more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. And then if let's say for people who are not aware about like this beautiful energy work and everything, everything, what would you tell them? Like, what can we transform with the
Mm,
Reiki? Transform and then, or like gain as a, if we take this as a tool, a practice, like
mm,
what can we gain or
mm.
transform?
Beautiful question. I think um we can gain this awareness and
Mhm.
clarity.
Mm,
Clarity too. Clarity is a big one because it's when you start to get clearer minded that you notice it's like we start to remember things like, oh, it's true. I'm content in my life, but I could be happier, or I deserve more, or it's kind of like we lift the veil on certain things.
yeah.
And when the veil is lifted, that's the clarity. People can see, they see themselves, they see their traumas, they see their pains, they see their fears, they see what's keeping them in these lower vibrations, what's keeping them sick, and then it's again this open, it opens these different paths to see like I could be healthy. I could get rid of
Mm,
my daily stress, or I could learn how to manage it. It's
yes.
there's hope. It gives people hope. So we gain clarity, we gain hope, which then makes us feel an overall sense of wellness
Yeah.
and bliss, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what we would gain. And transforming, it transforms us. So like, I'm gonna throw in some science there.
Yeah.
Kind of. So it's
Please,
like,
please.
right, it's a when we're channeling the energy from Reiki, this is my views, my beliefs, the way I learned it, the way I understand it, is that we're these channels, we're conductors of energy.
Yes.
And I'm not giving people, that's what I tell people, right? We're not giving our energy. I'm not giving somebody my
Yeah,
energy,
that's right.
energy that's all around us, and just learning how to be a conductor. And that's nothing, it's nothing wild or woo-woo or abstract. Like,
Yeah,
we have electrical wires that are conductors of electricity.
that's right.
Really, right? And we are made of electricity, we are made of energy. Like we learn to be these conductors. So just how electrical wiring and fuse boxes, I'm not good with that lingo, but I know there's transformers and it transforms the energy into something. We do the same thing
Yeah.
when we're acting as these conductors. So it's like, and I have the clairvoyance as well. So when I look at a body, I can see the energy changing from like being tangled or looking murky and mucky to like, oh, it opens up or it becomes clearer and lighter. So we're literally transforming. That's why I like that you use the word transform. We are transmuting and transforming our energy from being lower vibrational,
Yes.
stressed out,
Ex-
sick, unhappy, depressed, always anxious. We're shifting those things to the higher vibrations of I'm feeling light. I'm feeling well. I have hope for the future. I have
Mhm.
dreams that I feel I can achieve and goals yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I
that's
love that. I wanna, yeah, I'm always I'm always like, I think a part of when people come to Reiki, sometimes they're like, what do you see? Like, what do you, I wanna, so
yeah.
yeah, I did I put it here, but I think, oh, yes. Like, what do you think when people say like it's only for gifted people?
Hmm. I say no because it's a tool and it's an ability that you learn, just like a skill, an
Yeah,
ability. It's an ability,
yeah,
but you learn it. You can
yeah.
learn it. Yes, maybe some people um have a bit more of a natural inclination at first,
Mhm,
simply because it's circumstantial. Maybe they were raised in a culture or in a family or in a society that they know about things. They talk about things like energy and awareness of your body, awareness of your energetic body. They pray, they're spiritual. So maybe they were already immersed in this.
mhm.
Therefore, they have a bit more of an openness
Yes.
becomes a little bit easier in that
Yes,
sense.
yes, yes.
Versus somebody who's completely new to this. They haven't like their families and their culture. It's like they never spoke about anything like this. There's no prior awareness. So it's
Mhm.
all programming. It's like
Yeah,
it's all programming.
yeah,
Kind of like
yeah.
it's like, do this because it's our little computer, right? So
I guess, yeah.
like if you already have the hardware installed, there's a few programs, then it will be faster and easier to learn. But it doesn't mean that, you don't if you don't have the programming, you can't learn. So
Yeah,
it takes a little bit of maybe
exactly.
time, but I absolutely believe that anybody can learn how to do Reiki. And even if it means they're not comfortable practicing on other people, they do it for themselves.
They do it
So,
for themselves,
yeah,
exactly. And I think, yeah, I think even like for ourselves, I think it's important to develop, the intuition, the trust of,
trust.
because that's the big one, right? It's like,
Oh yeah.
like you feel it, but then
Yeah.
sometimes you don't listen to it, you question
Yes.
it, blah, blah. I want to ask, like, when you were a child, were you already like, already, we're all intuitive, but were you aware of your like intuition, your clairvoyance? Like, were you already aware, or Reiki was something that, wow, like it
It
opened?
opened.
Yeah.
I think the Reiki reminded me of how I was as a
Mm,
child because I was and all children are imaginative, right? But I was really immersed in my imagination and I remember like feeling presences and seeing
mm,
things around me and I mean my parents, they're like, "Oh, it's like your imagination," and not in a bad way,
that
but they
way, yeah,
weren't aware that, oh,
yeah.
maybe we're actually seeing something or feeling. They were not aware of that themselves. So they couldn't um they couldn't like
Help
encourage.
you, like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. They couldn't
okay,
like nurture that in me or
yes.
make it flourish. Um, but when I do think back, so Reiki helped me remember. It opened up the memories. I got like I would get memories of when I was a child when I was tapping into people's energies or that I would feel people's energies like hypervigilance. Even now I'm like, oh yeah, I used to feel like that like
Yes,
very often as a child. And
yes,
like, when you kind of would have, let's say, not, yeah, like little tantrums of like, I don't want to be there anymore. I don't want to go into
yes,
public space because it's like energetically too
yes, yes.
intense. So I do think I do remember as a
You
child.
remember?
Yeah.
And then do you see like the difference, let's say, like, because before me too, like I couldn't like, let's say, ask for help, or I couldn't, it was being like in crowds, like it was maybe too much. But now that with Reiki, that core gets stronger. So can you share a little bit how now it looks, how it's different for you, sorry if my questions are
Oh, no, no, I
like,
understand. You're
yeah,
doing
like how,
great. Yeah, yeah, it
yeah,
makes sense.
okay, okay, great.
So like how now it's
Versus
how
before, yeah, how it's like, it's
I
not,
experienced it and feel it now
yes,
when I
yes,
was
and then,
younger or a child.
yeah, yeah,
The the awareness, I keep coming back to the word awareness,
yeah.
like that deeper awareness or the introspection. The introspection, having done a lot more introspection. But then again, as a child, the mind doesn't come in. So that's the challenge now versus then being a child or but
Yes,
even as a teenager when I would dabble into these things like Reiki and I would go see mediums and clairvoyance or I would experiment with clairvoyance and telepathy on my own and I had or even like astral projection. I'm going into different like areas a little bit, but it's all energy and
yeah,
a sense. So when I would do things like that, as I remember in high school, reading books on it and trying these memory tactics, going into the Akashic records, it was like super easy. It was open. But as we get older, now it's a little different. The world is different. A lot more people are
Yes.
open to all of
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of it's squashed, and then our mind comes in and we judge and we doubt, and there's not the trust, right? So that's a big challenge now. It still is. I still have to like remind myself to ground, and I have like grounding techniques to neutralize my energy whenever the mind does come in and says like, "Oh, you're not actually seeing that. You're not feeling that. That's not real." So that's definitely the challenge, but the thing that maybe got easier over the years is um I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah, that's a way, a
Great
good
question.
way of putting it. Like what got easier in your, let's say, sensitivity, intuition, because all those things can be very like debilitating. Like for me was, and sometimes it still is. Like so, but thank God I have Reiki where you can, it's like moments of, you know, but then I have that toolkit to come back into,
Yes. I think that it's having these tools and coming back to them, reminding ourselves that's important. So I do feel I've gained more confidence,
yeah,
and it kind of it's because I see it's not
yeah,
nothing
it's not,
growth is not linear. So it's
yeah,
like this my
yes,
whole like from childhood to like early childhood to later childhood, and then teen years, and then the 20s and now the 30s. It's like this. It's like
mm,
the waves of like
yes,
feeling confident, kind of like sometimes it was super confident and trusting, sometimes no. So I think now it's like there's a
you,
stability.
yeah,
There's
your
a
connection is what is
it's stable.
stable.
Yes, there's a
Yes,
baseline. I've created a
yes,
base that
yes.
I know I could always come back to
There you
when
go.
there's
Yes,
spikes of like super trusting on a high, like, wow, this is amazing. I'm getting so much knowledge and information and downloads, and like,
yeah,
oof, it is a tougher day of like feeling
yeah,
the energy and being
exactly.
connected, like what's
Yeah,
happening, you know?
yes. I love that visual.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a journey. The human experience is, you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
so that constant of having that beautiful tool that it's there like at any given moment. You could be like driving, you could be like, or with someone and then something happens, but that connection is always there for you no matter.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's also time and a lot of practice, a lot
Yeah.
of practice. And um my teacher, my mentor, she still tells me like sometimes I'm like, but you are wow, like how do you and we work together and I'm like, how do you connect so quickly?
Yeah.
How do you she's like, it's almost 20 years I'm doing this. You know, she's like, give yourself grace,
Exactly.
give yourself time, have compassion, because the more we are hard on ourselves and judge ourselves, the less we can connect and
Exactly.
be in tune with the energy and in touch with that. So,
In touch with that. Yeah. It's like learning a new language because you're
yeah,
right. It's
gosh,
like it's
wow.
no longer, yeah, it's like the feeling. I think, right, it's with the feeling. It's another new language where we have to like be able to just connect to the truth, but the feeling is
Wow.
like a new. I love that.
She said, yeah, I love the way you said that. That's
Yeah.
exactly, it really is a language on its own. Reiki is a language. It's a way of communicating
Yeah.
and transmitting
Yes,
information.
that's right. And do you think, can anyone learn Reiki? Do you think that? Yeah.
I think if there's that will
Yeah.
and the open mind that you like, if you don't believe in it and if you're a super skeptic and you're doing it just to disprove something,
Mm,
no,
mhm.
you're closing up. You're
Yeah.
closing
Yeah.
those energetic channels. You're closing up your intuition. You're closing the trust. And as we said, trust is key. It is
Key.
everything
It's
that trust,
everything.
right? It's at the base, it's at the core. It's at the
Yes, that's the number one thing. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what I realized too is like it's not, yeah, it's like okay, I could practice like feeling it in my palms and like seeing it, but it comes down to the trust. So I'm like
Trust.
on the trust. So can anyone learn it? Yes, only if they are open-minded to believing that it works, and they are willing to learn it. And that there's intention too, that there's an intention
Yeah.
of why they want to be learning it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
how.
that's very nice. Yes, yes, yes. And what is there something you want to add? Is there something like if only people knew this? Let's say, does something come to mind? I know it was not like in the
Oh, not at all. It's okay.
yeah, but it's like what would you like like what would you share like something yeah that people should know? Yeah.
It's a beautiful question. I like to share testimonials. I
Mhm.
love sharing stories because those are the testimonials speak for themselves. Like that's meaning that shows the power of energy work and Reiki. Um, the first one of the first sessions I ever did, we were doing because we have to do case studies, right?
Yeah.
When you're
Yeah.
learning Reiki. So one of the first case studies was from it was remote. It was when I was practicing the remote
Okay.
session,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because we can,
The
you know,
distant feel. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. We could
Yeah.
send energy. And that too, when people are like, what do you mean remote? Like, I could be there with you? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, energy is not bound by space or time. We can go into quantum physics for that because it's again, we can back this up with science, you know? Um, so when I was doing a remote session, I I was sending, and there is I do have I developed the ability for clairvoyance and then
Mhm.
clairaudience and clairsentience, because that's another
Yes.
thing that
That's another thing. Yeah.
everybody could develop, but I integrated into my Reiki
Yes.
practice.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Not necessarily because I chose to, it's just I
Yeah.
started to work and I saw the energy, right? And I felt it. And
That's right.
so one of the first sessions that I did remotely, I had seen something here around her stomach, the emotions, and it was I see symbols. So I saw the symbol, which I won't say it because it's confidential, but basically it was something very heavy. It was a
Okay.
very heavy topic. And I was scared to share that because I
Okay.
said, what if I'm wrong?
Yes.
If I'm wrong, this is like, oof, this could be really bad. So this could
Yes.
be offensive. This could
Yeah.
be harmful. And even if it is real, what I'm seeing, like, is the person ready
To receive.
to
Yes. Yeah.
receive the information?
Receive.
Exactly.
Yes. Hmm.
So I use the Reiki technique of grounding, neutralizing my own energy so that I could be an open channel to receive intuitively the message. So I asked, is this accurate? Yes or no? Yes. Is this person ready to receive the message? Yes or no? Yes. And that's where the trust really came in. I had to deeply trust. It's like you're at the top of it's like when I went skydiving. Okay. You're in the plane
Yeah.
and you're
And
the
then
parachute. I'm like, okay, jump,
yeah.
go. This is it. So that's what I did. And I sent her the summary and I wrote to her and she wrote back immediately. And she's like, this is 100% accurate. And I needed to hear this. I needed to hear it. She was crying. It helped her process so much. And I was like, for me, that was a moment of like, I go back to that one
To
whenever
that
I'm,
one. Yes.
yeah, whenever I'm doubting.
Mm.
And so that also is a testament of how powerful, if it's that powerful, if energy is that powerful. And there was a series of, I did Reiki on her. So there was a series of events that happened to her, like good things that,
Good things. Yeah.
right? She started crying, but then so many good things started happening in her life afterwards. Like good things came into her life. So it helped her
Beautiful.
transmute and transform some energy, right?
Yes.
So every time I'm doubting, I always go back to that story.
To that
For
story.
Yeah,
That
to
is
remind
so
myself, like,
good.
trust, because that one I felt it. I felt it
Mm.
deeply. And there have been so many other recently people coming in that are completely new to Reiki.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a few weeks ago, I had a client come in and she's new. It was her second session. She's open to it, and that's the key, right? She knew nothing about it, but she's
But she
open.
was open. That's
She's
right.
open.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First session went very well, and then the second session, as I was like moving over here. I wasn't even touching her. I wasn't even touching. I was hovering because the body was telling me like, "Oof, it would be too much to put the. So I was hovering, and I felt the energy here. Oof, I was feeling it, and then all of a sudden, tears just start streaming down her face, and she started crying. And then she opened her eyes. She's like, "Why is this happening? Is this normal?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, love, you're releasing." That's, so if
That's
that's one thing that I would want people to know is these beautiful experiences that it
yeah.
truly helps people. And
That's
it's
very beautiful, Pamela, and I love it. And while you were saying this, I
Mhm.
think when you decide to share Reiki with others as a practitioner, and what would you say? What would you say? Like for me, it's easier now. Sometimes, I mean, we're human, okay? But sometimes if because let's say you don't know the person that comes to you for Reiki, so there's a detachment. There's no personal like you know. So energy gives you the experiences of, oh, I'm feeling this. So you don't take it like you don't take you'll feel it, but you don't take it personally because you know it's not you're there for the person, for the space holding and everything.
yeah.
But then when you have experiences with a loved one, a friend, and you feel I've had moments where, for example, one day, like I picked up my mom, she sat and I felt like my heart, like, and but it's a family member. We don't see our family members the same as, let's say, okay, someone that comes for.
Yeah.
But for me, it's easier now to put myself in a position of, like, okay, I'll ground. Okay, something's going on,
That's a
and I'll do the work also in my personal life with my family, with my friends. How do you is it for you the same? Like more things that are more that touch us, our hearts? Is it more easier now for you as well now that you're having those experience with people that you don't know, your clients, and then yeah.
Wow, you're so good at this. You're like, your questions are excellent, and you just speaking on intuition, like I see you using yours so
Yes,
naturally to
yeah.
just
Thank
guide the
you.
question, conversation. And I'm like, I'm listening. I'm like, wow, like,
Wow.
this
And
is
I'm like, well,
amazing.
as I'm listening to you, I'm like, wow, yes. And then it's like it wants me, no,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's taking me somewhere, but I'm like, okay,
Somewhere.
just hold on, wait, listen then, because yeah,
This, for me,
it's so
it's such
beautiful.
a,
But
yeah,
this
it's
is energy too. I always trust
exactly,
how energy just flows, you know?
exactly. It's
I'm gonna
such a
say yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
co-creation.
Yes, co-creation.
We're on a journey together, and it's
That's right.
I just
Exactly.
wanted to note on that because it's so amazing.
Yeah.
But okay, so is it easier for me to to disconnect and feel like in terms of my family members and my loved ones? Like,
Yeah,
easier
friends.
to,
Let's say, is it
yeah,
easier like in our
yeah,
personal life to do, or let's say our work? Let's say if I was like in a corporate job and then, oh my God, it's so hard sometimes. But those
yeah,
are that it's the playground where, okay, that's where you have to show up, okay? Your
yeah.
practices.
Oh my
So
God,
do you think it gets
absolutely.
easier when you become a Reiki practitioner? Yeah, maybe that's the question. To
Great
then,
question. I would say for me personally, yes, it is getting easier. It was very difficult at first. I couldn't practice really on my family members because I felt I was way too connected. So there was a
mm,
bias. It's like I knew their stories.
you knew this.
I know their stories. I know the narratives that are going on in their head. I know my, I know my parents and my brother like the back of my hand. So
Yeah.
there's my own personal triggers with them as well. So that's a big one, right? You can't have when triggers come up, it's so
Yeah.
much easier with other people to disconnect.
Yeah.
With the family, it's just harder because it's biologically we are connected to them.
Yeah.
So, that's energetically too. So the
Yeah.
ties are just so much stronger, but it has gotten easier. It's gotten easier. Um, Practicing energy work, practicing introspection, even psychology. I have a background in psychology, and I've seen psychologists for myself over the years to
Yes.
learn how
Yes.
to use this beautiful tool that we have.
Exactly.
So I've learned healthy detachment,
Mm.
not being because before when I would detach, it's like it's very extreme. I'm a bit of an extremist,
Yeah.
Gemini. So it was either like super duper connected or it appeared to be kind of cold just because I didn't know how to gauge it. But now
Yes,
it's a healthy detachment where I'm just
yes.
a series of things. I'm very visual, so I'll use visualizations. I use visuals to
To,
detach
to
and I
detach in a healthy way, like you
in a
said.
healthy way. Yeah. And
Yes,
I zoom out and I remind myself, um, it's interesting to say it that way because it's like I remind myself that I am not me, but it's like I don't exist anymore. I'm not Pamela. I'm not
yes, yes,
He is just it's but a mere avatar in this human experience. And I zoom out and I connect to that source energy that I know that I am part of and that I become that like nothingness and everythingness all at the same time.
yes. That's beautiful, beautiful. I'm just gonna, okay, okay, what about, let's say there's a new client that comes to you and they have no idea what to expect. Like, can you share a little bit about that?
Yes. So when new clients come in and they ask me exactly that question, um, I still, you know what, see, I'm like pausing because I'm like, what do I tell them? I feel like that's something that I still sometimes have to really think about before they come in.
Yeah.
I think I also I tailor it to every individual because again, tapping in like intuitively connecting to them, it's like I want to be able to transmit the information and the knowledge in a way that they will receive it. Right. So it's
Mhm.
like yeah, in a way that's it, in a way that they
Yeah.
will receive it, in a language that they'll understand and
Yes.
based on their own experiences, right? So if I start talking about quantum physics and metaphysics to somebody who's completely new to this,
They're
I'm gonna I'm gonna lose them, and they're gonna be like, "What is this crazy girl talking about?" It's like,
and it's so like you're gonna explain it in some way it's gonna resonate in their
exactly,
particular. Okay. Yeah.
exactly what they need to hear. That's something that's gonna resonate. That's perfectly said. So, I tell people, you're here, you're open to this. I'll give an example of how they probably have already felt energy in their
Yes.
life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the one that I often come back to is, sometimes you have a bad feeling about something or about someone. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that happens. You're like, you don't want to, or you don't want to be somewhere, or you make plans with somebody or something, and you don't want that. Or yes, yeah, those are the examples I come back to because most people can relate to that.
That's
So I say,
right. Yeah.
you've already experienced the energy then. And then that
Exactly.
right? It makes them even more open and it puts them even more at ease. And it also, I feel like it gives them confidence and it empowers them right off the bat, which then it allows them and their body to trust me as a practitioner.
Mm.
So yeah, these are things that I'll explain to them and I say, look, worst case scenario, you have 1 hour of total
Relax.
relaxation. Yeah. Where you're not moving, you're listening to calming music and we have we have a bit of a integrative practice. So we put a face mask, we have the red light therapy going on. We do some instruments too, right? We do a little bit of sound therapy. So I'm like, worst case scenario, you had a new experience and you feel relaxed.
Relaxed. Let's
So
say, let's say on the like the top of your mind, like if there's words that come when people say, "What did you feel?" Is there a word or something that comes out that people tell you, "Oh yeah, I felt like you mentioned tingling, tingling, like before you."
yes, yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
there like yeah? Do you can you tell?
So some things like certain things that my clients have said
Yes, like
they
yeah,
feel yes the tingling sensations, warmth, like a lot of warmth. They're like, I felt warmth here. Oftentimes what I get is, Pam, I felt that your hands were on me on my knee, but then I knew you weren't there because I
yeah.
heard you in my head. They're like, but it was incredible. I really felt like your hands were there. I'm like, you were feeling the energy. I'm so proud of you. It's amazing.
Right.
you know So that's one that I get a lot. Sometimes people even say that they feel cold, like
Yeah.
patch cold. And I'm like, that's okay too. You're feeling the energy. Some people, tap into their intuition and their clairvoyance themselves. And they're like, I saw swirls of colors as you were
Mm,
working here, as you were working here,
mm.
or I got memories, or so many different experiences. And then some people say, I felt nothing at all.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I reassure them that that's okay as well.
Yeah.
And just like I was told when I started being a practitioner, when I started learning, have give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. And it does take time. And oftentimes I say, look, in the next few days, we remind them in the next few days, you might feel certain sensations. I think that's going on another little tangent. That's coming back to the awareness actually and the
Right.
introspection.
Mhm.
It's really important to guide people and um let them know what they can expect and how to integrate all of this. Because
Mm.
I feel personally I'm not doing a good job. I'm not doing a complete, not giving a complete service if I'm not guiding them and telling
Yes,
them what to expect next.
love that.
Otherwise, it's just like, but you come in and then, you know,
Yes, and they
there's
get
there's
lost. Yeah.
yeah.
They get lost.
So
They don't, yeah. Sometimes those were after a session and you start like feeling things or whatever, like that's where all the questions come. Like, oh my,
yes.
like I want they want to know more, like blah blah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Well said.
Exactly. And
Yes.
then sometimes even when they come back for like, follow-up sessions, I take that 10-15 minutes at the beginning to ask them a lot of questions in case they said, because they'll come and I'll say, so how you feeling? I'm feeling okay. My panic attacks didn't go away, but I'm feeling okay. I
Yeah.
said, normal. You only had one Reiki session so
Yes.
far. Your panic attacks have been going on for the last 15 years. So then, but then I don't want them to feel, we want to empower people. We want to
Mhm.
empower people and help them I don't want people to depend on me. I tell them,
Mhm.
I'm like, 3 sessions. My goal is I love you and I want to see you as often as possible. But my goal is to not see you for the rest of right? Because I want you to have these tools, empower
That's
yourself.
right.
Sometimes I love just helping people notice where they have already improved. So I ask them lots of questions. I dig, and they'll be like, well, I even just something simple as like that happened and I didn't get nervous. I'm like, that's huge. That's amazing. For the last 20 years, you've been feeling nervous when somebody said that thing, and now you feel like you could calm yourself. You know what I'm getting at? Is
Exactly.
that like helping, like pointing out these subtleties so that people feel like, oh yeah, this is working. I
That's
am
right.
getting somewhere. I'm doing this. That's what I tell people too. I'm like, again, I'm just facilitating this. I'm just the conductor, but you're doing the work. Like
That's
we do
right.
the work. They
That's
are doing, like congratulate them whenever there's an improvement, right?
That's
So
beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful said. Thank you so much. Um, is there anything else you want to add? Or you think we've covered, right?
yeah, I think we've covered most of it. It's such a beautiful tool, therapeutic technique, healing modality, and my journey is continuing too. So I continue to grow as I see more people, as I work more on myself. So um I like to tell people that too, is that I'm learning too. I'm in
That's right.
constantly learning. I'm constantly growing. So we're no different from each other. We just have different
No.
experiences, and yeah, I
And
love it.
also to add to that, like, you're because we're learning too, but in sessions, we are also receiving healing. Like people will say, but maybe like my negative, maybe my, or you're too tight. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
no, like as I you know, do this, I feel great after. Like I
Right?
feel like
Yes, so
we're all
true.
connected. Yeah, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And again, that's something that my teacher, that I like, her voice resonates in my head, is like, you should not feel drained after a session.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't feel tired. If you feel drained or tired, it means you're giving your own energy, right?
Yes,
So
that's
usually
right.
me too. I'll feel sometimes if I didn't position my table right, like my back hurts,
Yeah, you're but yeah.
But otherwise, you're right. I feel blissful and energized in that sense. I'm
Right?
very, yeah, yeah.
Right? Beautiful. And can you tell us where people can find you? Where is the studio? Who's your partner? So that
Absolutely. So we are located in Montreal North on Industrial Boulevard between P&F and Lac-Cordaire. So we service a pretty wide, I mean, I have people coming in from the West Island and, because
Mm,
we have different services here. We have the harmonic egg.
yeah.
Um, so we're here in Montreal North. It's myself, Pamela, and my business partner and friend, Nadia. So it's the two of us here at Sanctuarium. And we have our website,
Yes.
sanctuarium.com. We have our
Okay.
Instagram, Sanctuarium1122. So you could go follow us there. Like I said, we offer Reiki. We do
Sound also with sound.
sound. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
Nadia practices, she offers individual sound baths.
Okay.
Her and I do combined Reiki meditation, sound baths.
Yes.
We offer sound baths. We have Sarah that comes and do sound baths. We have the harmonic egg. So we're the first and only ones in Quebec that have this modality. It's a
Beautiful.
nutshell, giant egg-shaped pod that you sit inside. It's light and sound therapy. We have our wellness circuit,
Oh,
red light therapy. We have the sauna. We do workshops. We have tarot workshops coming up. We have mediumship workshops coming up. I do
mm,
clairvoyance, tarot, card readings.
that's
So
beautiful.
whole package of holistic wellness. We also have products. I almost forgot.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
pointing here because it's over there. But we have like vitamins, supplements. We have honey, manuka honey, bee pollen, tarot cards, angel cards, crystals,
Beautiful.
you name it. It's
Yes.
our little sanctuary. So
Beautiful. I love it
uh,
so much. So thank you so much for your
thank
time.
you. Thank
Pam,
you.
this was great. I cannot wait to share it with everybody.
Yes, thank you
And
for the
yeah,
opportunity.
I'm wishing you lots of success. I've been to the studio. I did an event also at your studio,
The
which
kids
was
sound bad.
amazing. Yes, next level. It was beautiful. The place. Oh my God, I was like it's there's a room and then there's another room and then there's another.
It's
Like
literally my childhood dream come true because I was like, oh, like you said, like that childlike wonder of like, what's in
wondering
here?
like here,
Here.
but there's another room here and one room is bigger than the other one. I'm like, oh my God, like what?
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm so glad you enjoyed your experience here and that you came and yeah.
Thank you so much. All
Thank
right,
you.
dear.
You're amazing. You're
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thanks for doing this, for giving us Reiki practitioners this platform, and thank
Yes,
you for
it's
sharing
fun
your
to
gift.
hear. Yeah, like I would have expected that you were your first experience was at 12 years old.
Me
Like
too.
you're the first. Yeah, I'm like I did not expect that because it's
Yeah.
all like we were all seekers. Let's say a lot of us are like seekers, and we start meditating, and then oh, we discover this, or we start, like.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful, and that's what I want to share to people. Is like it's not what you think. It's not like
Yeah, not
you
what you
know
would expect, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's not what you expect. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, dear.
Thanks, Jen. Mwah.
Well, I'm gonna